welcome to Jeffrey Court's 30th anniversary. As part of the celebration, we are giving folks a behind the scenes look at some of our Meet the Designers for the summer series. So my name is Cori Bosco, and I was a winner of the season 5 Jeffrey Court Renovation Challenge. And you probably have seen me on either TikTok or recently Instagram. And I have some amazing DIYers here. This is Jamin and Ashley Mills, and you find them at the Handmade home. So these are our guests for today. Hi guys, how are you?
Hey, doing great.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. I'm so excited to hear everything about your home and how Jeffrey Court is incorporated in it. So everyone knows that you bought a fixer-upper. So tell me a little bit about how you came about your house and what made you move from Alabama to Tennessee?
Yeah, so we were living in Alabama at the time, and we're just in a place we were ready for a change, do something a little bit different, want to expand our business as well, working with clients. And so we kind of sat down and figured out we wanted to move to Nashville. And so we put the house on the market, and then we thought it would sell pretty quickly. Except
it didn't.
Right.
Our house in Alabama.
Yeah, the house in Alabama. So we were surprised by this. And so after it sat for a long time, I'm a very impulsive kind of person. I was sitting in gymnastics with 2 of our kids. And I sent Ashley a text, said, hey, do we have any plans next week? And she said, no. I said, well, let's go to Disney. And so we just up and decided to go to Disney for no good reason whatsoever. While we were at Disney, the house sold. So it was a magical sale.
Nice.
We were sitting on Pirates of the Caribbean when we realized that we were
like, we don't have a home. This is a problem because we had been vacationing after trying to sell our house for a year, and then it, just sold out of nowhere. And we were like, hey, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. So we dropped the kids off in Alabama and headed straight up to Nashville and began looking, and the market was just insane. And of the 11 houses we wanted to see, by the time we got to Nashville in the 4-hour drive, only 1 was still available. So it was quite fun.
Yeah, so we looked at some other houses real quick, but the whole time on this list was this house. And we only looked for 1 day. Mm-hmm. And when we saw it, we just knew.
So yeah, it was a complete fixer-upper, 1976, had dead birds in the pool, lots of crazy walls, paneling.
It was a mess, but a fun mess. Yeah. We were excited.
Okay, so you guys found this fixer-upper. Were you nervous, or have you done any renovating before, prior to that?
Yeah, we've been doing it for years, and of course we've been working with clients too, so it wasn't anything new. And we walked in with our real estate agent up here, who happened to be someone I'd gone to high school with, and so she knew our story too. And the house had been on the market 4 or 5 months, which was unheard of in Nashville. And
I don't think people knew what to do with it. They were like, this is a lot. I'm not sure. What's going on with the master? What's going on with the bathrooms? I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, and so
people were freaked out.
So we saw it and just literally cried because it was so perfect.
We just knew. It was that love at first sight thing, even if it didn't make a lot of sense.
Was there something specific that got your attention, or what made you fall in love with it?
I think that because we just saw so much work. I mean, we could see what it could become and what it was lacking and what we could do to it. And so it was just a new challenge.
And the yard. I feel like the yard drew us in, because it wasn't a house where it's kind of rare here to not have a house where you can reach out and touch your neighbor, which those are great too. But we knew we wanted a little bit of a yard and a pool, and it just kind of fit our little criteria. We just knew we had to be flexible, so that was part of it too.
So immediately you walked in and you knew you loved it, but what made you think of the floor plan, the design plans? How did that all come about?
It really came about probably within the first 30 minutes of being here. We were just brainstorming, we can knock out these walls, we can vault the ceiling, we can do this, we can build a master addition here. And it was just kind of, before we ever made an offer on the house, and it was just immediate. But I think that's a lot of the way how we operate, is that we see things and we feed off each other, and we can envision what something can be.
We brainstorm on the fly.
Right.
Nice. I think that's probably what a lot of people can't do sometimes. It's probably why the house sat there for a while too.
Right.
Yeah, you have that vision, you know, and sometimes it takes a special person or people like yourself to see that because it is gorgeous now. So do you have like a favorite spot now in the house, or what's your favorite project been since you've been renovating?
Oh, you.
That's like asking me to pick a favorite child. You know how like each room is like that's your fondest, and then the next room is your fondest.
Oh, yeah.
You love them all in different ways. I truly can't pick a favorite, but I feel like you have one.
Oh, so I can absolutely pick a
okay.
favorite. Yeah, no, I mean, I love the whole house, but this past year during COVID, we took on several projects here at the house. And one of them was our cabana that we built. And it became my little sanctuary where I can go out there in the falls and the springs and no one will come bother me. It's quite amazing.
We can kick them out.
Right, kick me out, whatever, I don't care. It's just amazing to go out there, hang out, and you got some beautiful tile out there and just a great place for, if no one else, for me to hang out and watch sports.
Well, we were going to be out there tonight, but we had some technical difficulties with the heat and the sun, so we're kind of bummed, and that's why we're in here. But yeah, it's your favorite.
It is my favorite.
So it's your like man cave too, cabana/man cave, like.
Yeah, except it's not much of a man cave. It's very colorful, some pink in there.
It's your Mabana.
But you know, hey, I'll roll with it. I mean, I painted my toenails in college, so why not?
Yeah. He likes color.
So you guys opened up like your entire floor plan, and tell me like what things have you done? I know I saw like pictures of the kitchen. I saw like the cabana room that you're mentioning. So like, what all have you done in your house?
So it all started with the main level. Yeah, it's kind of a complicated story. So the main level had 4 rooms in the beginning, and we knocked down those walls and then raised the roof, the ceiling with an LVL beam for support, and made that our great rooms. That holds like our eat-in kitchen area, our living room area, and then just our main kitchen area that stretches across the back.
Right.
And then we also did the upstairs at the same time, giving everyone, you know, a place to sleep.
Right. And then after that, we moved downstairs, and there was a almost 900 square foot basement area that we just renovated and turned into a living space and office area.
People get confused about that. It was technically like a basement/garage.
Right.
And we just turned that into like a functional basement area. Closed it all off. It had like the crusty old like metal garage doors that might murder someone if they fall on you. So we were like, let's get rid of that. And we turned them into doors and windows.
Yeah, and then from there we moved out and added an addition to the house that's what we kind of call a pool room area. That's right next to the pool, but it's it's fireplace.
That's where we're sitting now.
Yeah, that's where we're sitting now. And then last year in COVID, we expanded the yard with lots of trees and plants and fence and built the cabana as well.
That was our sanity saver.
That was our sanity. And then we're about to, in the process of starting a master suite. So have big ditches dug out front and starting that hopefully in the next month or so.
So that's going to be complete full addition to the house.
That'll be the second addition, full addition to the house. It'll be a master bedroom, a laundry room, bathroom, and all that.
So what are you going to do with your current master suite?
The primary suite will hold our laundry room, a little bit of a wet bar area, just a little bit more storage than what we've had in the past, because it was like built in 1970 something, so it's a smaller house. It will also have our primary bedroom, so we will actually be able to spread out and let the kids, we've got teenagers now. I know you know how that is, Cori, but teenagers now, we're like, bye, you can have that side of the house. We're gonna have this side of the house. We're excited about that. And a bathroom, which I'm really stoked about, because if you could see our bathroom now that we've lived it for 5 years, you'd be like, oh.
It is a little small.
It's redone and we love it, but it's a bathroom. So we're excited to hand that down to our daughter, let her enjoy that, because it'll be perfect for her, and just expand on this side of the house.
Oh, I bet she's excited. So your new primary suite is going to have then, like, I mean, how big is it going to be? Like, what are we talking about here?
So the whole new addition,
we'd like to dream big.
It'll be about 650 square feet.
It'll be smaller.
Wow.
It'll be a nice addition.
Right.
We actually are a little bit limited here by setbacks and septic and codes, and so we're really having to work with it, and we're talking with an architect, which I'm really excited about, because it's going to be like a little bit of a consult design situation, and we're really excited about that. So it'll be our next challenge. And
how is Jeffrey Court going to be involved in your primary suite?
I can't wait. The bathroom's gonna be amazing.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Do you guys already have like everything picked out, like envision, like your mood board, everything ready?
No. You think that I would, but we've been so busy with client work, I've not had a chance, and I've started to panic a little bit because I'm like, man, we've got to get on that, and we're talking with the architect and trying to get like all that, you know, finalized before I know exactly what the layout will be. It's a little bit fly by the seat of our pants right now, but I'm ready to get that reeled in and figured out. So
now, do you like come up with a design and stick with it, or do you like change as you go, or like what's like your? I know for me, like I just kind of do it as I go. Like I wasn't even able to turn in like my mood board at first to them because I'm like, I don't really have one. Like I picked my blue tile and then wanted to, you know, like just do everything around that. So it's like, or do you like plan like your whole design, like, you know what I mean, stick to it?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say we plan the whole thing.
I think because the client side of us, like it makes me plan, but then I'm also totally flexible because, you know, it's COVID. So it's like, is this available? Do we need to do this? You gotta be
very true.
Real fast. So it just depends, but I'm a planner. You're a planner too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say generally there's a plan that we stick to. If anything happens, it becomes more grandiose. Like with the cabana, you know, ended up becoming more than what we originally
started with like an open air porch.
Right, and then turned into just full living area.
Well, this room actually started as a porch.
Right, too.
And then we were like, oh wait, we can add windows and do climate control. Anyway, it's a whole thing. So yeah, it depends on the day, really. Yeah. That was a really long way to go about answering your simple question.
No, but that seems like, I mean, that's exciting just to be able to have like, I mean, now tell me, the kids, are they helpful when it comes to these renovations? I mean, I know I have the teenagers too, so I have one that helps me out, but the other ones really don't care anything about it. So tell me how your kids are involved, or if are they?
I mean, I'd say in their own way they are. Our oldest one loves to kind of help us build this stuff, and I would say our middle one loves to be involved in design, especially in, you know, what's going to be her new space.
She's become very opinionated now that she knows because she's been sharing a room with her brother, and he's about to be 12 and she's 13, so it's like they're starting to butt heads a little bit, and she's very excited.
Oh yes.
Yeah, she's very excited about getting her own space and has a lot of opinions on it. She has her own Pinterest board. She's like, and then we're going to do this, this, and this. And so she's very excited about it. And our oldest, he's always been a builder. He likes to build. Like, he helped with the cabana. Did you say that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you said that.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can just pass the business down to them one day. And we'll go retire somewhere else.
It's the dream. Don't they have like the cheeseburger in paradise?
Jimmy Buffett down
Jimmy
in Florida.
Buffett. That's our life goal.
Down there.
We're like, yeah,
Me and Jimmy.
I'm going to the beach. Yeah.
Nice. Now talk to me about like you said you have your own like clients and stuff that you do designing for. So tell me about your business. Is this is what you do full time?
It is. So we work with a variety of clients, you know, we've got one fourplex we're going to be starting here in the fall where it'll be, you know, gosh, I think it's about 4,000 square feet, 4 different units together to just doing kitchen renovations with people. So a lot of different projects going on.
Mm-hmm. We're a little bit of a wide spectrum of things, depending on what comes our way. But I think that our main passion is just helping people fall in love with their homes like all over again. I think that especially in the real estate climate we're in, I don't know if this is nationwide, you tell me, but I feel like people are kind of like stuck right now in a good way. Like if they already own their home, they're like, we got a cash offer for our house like last week. And we were like, well, that's a nice change considering it took us a year on the last house to sell. You know,
right.
That's nice. But where would we go? You know, like I can sell this house, but where am I going to go? Because we're so limited in the area that we live, and yards are hard to come by, and our kids are in love with the school system and their friends. Like we're not going to uproot our family. So my point is that's actually good for our business because a lot of people have been sitting at home in COVID and they're like, well, I mean, you know how that is. You were like, I'm ready to change this. Like you were probably looking at your bathroom during that time, like, okay, something's got to go. It helps because people are like ready to like reduce some stuff and they're excited about it and want to maximize on that.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give like a first-time DIYer?
You want to go first?
I'll let you go first. I'm curious about what he has to say.
I mean, I would say have grace with yourself and have patience. I think a lot of people get frustrated really easily because they've seen either on social media or on TV these things happen that seem to happen seamlessly without any issue. And that maybe they think that, oh, well, these people just came out knowing how to do this and did it miraculously and never made any mistakes. And that's really the farthest thing from the truth. I remember like over a decade ago or whatever, because everything I pretty much know about construction, I taught myself by watching and learning from other guys or girls. And I remember building a pergola at our old house, and I didn't know the proper way, what to anchor first and all that. And so I had a couple of friends helping me, and we put it up. And then a hurricane was passing through town, and it literally just knocked the whole thing on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
And so I just went out and laid on it like planking, just sobbing over it. But it's like, give yourself some grace that there's some learning you're going to have to do. Have some patience with yourself. Just have fun. Realize that, the magic doesn't happen overnight, that there's a learning process to it, and there's a joy to learning how to do it, and the next project made me better. And if you take your time, the project you're doing will be great.
Like, we've had so many failures. I'd hone in on that too. What I would say is be fearless and just go for it. But we've had so many failures in that process. And I remember I got like half of a master's because at first I thought I wanted to go back. We lived in a small town for a while, and I wasn't happy with my job because it was kind of limited. And I went back and got half my master's in art education. And then I found out that I was pregnant with our first son. And I was so bummed out about like not being able to finish that. Thrilled to be able to stay home with my son, like love that. But like I just could not manage both. It was just too much at the time. And I remember I came home and I was like, but we wasted all that money. And he was like, an education is never wasted. And that's always like stuck with me that my own husband said that, because
I'm a genius.
I think that's something, let's not get too high on ourselves. I think that's something that we have like learned over time, because we failed in so many ways, and we failed so hard that we've learned from that. So like our first kitchen renovation that we did, that was interesting. Looking back now, I'm like, okay, I've learned from that. I know what I will never do again. I know what I will do again. And also, like, DIYing is amazing, but don't be afraid to hire to your weaknesses. For instance, like I can tell you right now, I personally will never wallpaper again.
Absolutely.
And I know some people love wallpaper, but I would rather, like, I don't know, stick a needle under my fingernail than I got violent really quick, then wallpaper again. Like I remember we got stuck in our kids' bedroom and we were like, oh my goodness, I cannot wallpaper another minute. So, be okay with failing, be okay with hiring to your weaknesses, and then move forward and learn from that.
And when you hire your weakness, take the time to watch the people you're hiring and learn from them. And they'll be more than happy to share with you their knowledge. People who do construction or in it, they love to just kind of share and teach and, show their passion for stuff.
Definitely.
You mentioned your kitchen at your last house, but what other failures? You hit a lot on, you failed a lot. So I'm nosy, so I want to know like what. Yeah. Elaborate a little bit more on these failures. Well, because I have tons too, so I get it.
Yeah, I think we learned how not to paint cabinets.
Yeah.
Like, I'll never hand paint cabinets myself again. Like, get a sprayer. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just little things along the way that we learned. It was so bad that we.
Well, I think some of it was like, it goes back to that be fearless, don't be afraid to tackle something. And so we had, what couldn't have been more than maybe 36 square feet of a backsplash that, we were, I guess, too scared to demo and tackle.
Well, let's back up. We lived in like a really pre-planned neighborhood where all the houses were exactly the same. And that drove me crazy. And we wanted to change it, but I was afraid because I was like, oh, we're breaking the rules. And it was the first time I really like broke the rules. So like, not only have we painted the cabinets, was bring it back around.
Oh, so instead of just demoing out the tile and taking the time to learn how to tile something, we decided to put beadboard over it.
And not only, I was gonna say, not only did we decide to put beadboard over it, we hot glued it. I was like, what if we change our minds? Let's hot glue the beadboard on top of the tile. But you know what? In all fairness, it could easily be removed.
It could be easily removed, and it was in a couple magazines, and it's now sold twice, so people apparently liked it.
It's still there. We went and looked it up on Zillow the other day, and we
that's too funny. And it's still there.
The backsplash, and they hadn't. It's still there.
It's still there. Still going strong.
That was a success from a weird DIY failure.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Yeah, I'm sure it probably did look good. You probably incorporated your decor with it and made it look fun.
Yeah.
We were happy with it at the time. It was good.
So tell me, like, I know Jeffrey Court, they're real big right now with their 30th anniversary, how Jeffrey Court is part of like your home story. So, you know, like for instance, I was part of like the renovation challenge and incorporated their tile in my bathroom, which is like my forever home. Like I don't ever want to leave here. And it seems like that's probably where you're at too, as far as, you know, this is your home. So tell me like how like Jeffrey Court became part of your home story.
First of all, I have to say I love your bathroom. Love it so much.
Thank you.
I'm like golf clap, but it's an exciting
Golf
clap.
clap is more like
I know, it's like a petty clap. I'm like, I'm so excited. I love your bathroom. That blue is beautiful.
that's more like that.
It's so pretty. I'm trying not to bounce. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Court has so many beautiful selections. And I'm just totally interrupting. I didn't know if we were ready to talk. I feel like I cut you off.
No, I mean, I guess we first started working with Jeffrey Court when we started the basement downstairs back in 2017 or so. We, came across some of the tile that we just fell in love with and thought it was just beautiful. And so from there, it's just kind of grown. We used it down there, and then we kind of moved to using it in this edition and out in the cabana as well.
It was such a transformation, and it was such a high quality product that we were just in love with for so many reasons. I love the story of Jeffrey Court. I love the fact that they believe in their products, that they
Which is in a lot of ways, it's a family-owned business that it's kind of grown from the ground up. And so something, one night, as she said, we love the product, we love the story of where it came from, and that the company's named after the kids of the owner, which is pretty cool as well. And so there's just a lot of things I think really drew it to us. But I mean, I guess the beauty of the tile is probably the first thing.
Yeah, and it was just, we get comments on this tile in our basement and in our pool room all the time. Like people will just come over and they're like, dude, that tile's amazing. We're like, thank you, it's Jeffrey Court. And then we actually have the darker version in our cabana. I hate that didn't work out tonight with our technical difficulties, but it's so beautiful out there too, and people are just stunned by it.
Yeah, and then from there, we've had the ability to kind of present it to a lot of our clients who themselves then choose to use it in their own homes and their own projects. And so we really had kind of, I guess, the fun of being able to sample like a vast majority of the tile and actually install it in different places.
Well, it's something that we can stand behind because we have it in our own home. We can testify to that. Like, this is something that we love. It's something that we're passionate about, and we love that we're able to bring that into our clients' homes and let them use it as well. And we use it in so many fun, different ways because it's a different home every time, and you never know what's going to work. You know what I'm saying? It's a fun challenge.
Yeah, and it's always fun. I mean, we get to see all the new stuff that comes out. I know that there's some new stuff for coming out in Home Depot in the next month or two. We're super excited to have that online and available to use maybe in our home in addition, who knows, but definitely with clients for sure. So we're stoked for that, to be available at Home Depot.
They have a lot of beautiful pieces for sure.
That's wonderful. Now you guys are on Instagram, and now did you guys always have Instagram and social media as part of your background too, or is it when did that all come about as well? I'm interested in hearing about that because it seems like you've been doing this for a long time. And has it always been or what does social media now mean to you as far as with the involvement of everything that you're doing?
I mean, I guess when we started, the website stuff was just coming out. I mean, it was still MySpace at the time.
No.
Okay, wow.
No. It was still Blogspot.
Well, yeah, but MySpace was the social media.
Well, yeah, but it started out on Blogspot. So this is kind of embarrassing. And this is part of the master degree story where I was at home and I knew that I loved being a mom, but I wanted to do something at home too because I'm just a creative person and I wanted to do stuff in our own home. So I started out as Super Blogger Supreme Mama.
Let's say that one more time so everybody can understand how terrible that was.
It was amazing. It rhymed. I loved it. And I would get on and do all these mom confessions. It was when all your friends had a blog and it was everyone was just doing it to do it. And then I quickly found out, oh, I really like to share projects online. I have a design background. And so I was like, I'm really gonna start like sharing more, whether it's art or a creative thing around our house. And then it literally just grew from there. And then we were like, hey, we're doing it in our own home. Why don't we take on some clients? So it's just kind of gone from there. And we're not super blogger supreme mama anymore.
I was gonna say, I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't heard that one anywhere.
It's kind of hidden away. It's private now. I'm like, let's hide that.
That one died a decade or so ago.
A decade or so? A decade. It was not that. It was 20 years ago, James. Not that old. Anyway, yeah.
Too funny. I know that the audience has some questions for you, and I know someone from Jeffrey Court was going to jump on here and ask those questions. If she's ready, I'm not sure. But also, if you guys want to hear more or see more of Jamin's and Ashley's designs, they are also featured in the Jeffrey Court coffee table book. So you guys can pick up a copy of that. It's called The Tiled Home. And it's a great way to see a lot of the projects that you guys have done, and it's featured in there. Let me see, I don't know if she's on here ready to pop on and ask the audience's questions for you guys.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda with Jeffrey Court. We have some questions. We're gonna ask Jamin and Ashley put them in the hot seat a little bit. So our first question comes from Kelly. She asks, what is the craziest challenge or surprise you encountered in your renovations?
You good?
I think we should go on this one.
Is there maybe a crusty basement story in there?
That would be our house.
Yeah. I feel like you have a specific story in
No,
mind.
I mean, there's just lots of stories.
There's always something. I feel like that's part of taking on a renovation. We always try to tell our clients, like, be ready, because you're gonna find something when you pull back those walls, whether the fireplace has been leaking. Like when it's an old house, and you never know when it's gone through multiple owners. I mean, you never know if someone's hot glued their bead cord to the wall after proclaiming themselves Super Blogger Supreme Mama. I mean, you just never know. It can be a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something. A lot of times it's structural when you get into stuff, having to figure out, well, why was this built this way? Because a lot of older homes, the codes weren't really strong back then, and they got by on a handshake and a cheeseburger and a Coke, and they passed their inspections, and no one really paid attention. So you might find something structurally that's wrong.
Well, just this spring in our own home, we found what in the crawl space?
Oh,
No,
God.
it wasn't a dead body.
No. Not yet. We're hoping
We
still.
were kind of wondering. I was like, and if we do, we're going to start our own podcast. That's how that's going to go down. But
Yeah.
it was not.
No, we ended up with a lot of, when Nashville flooded or Franklin specifically flooded this past spring. And so our basement and crawl space flooded, and we discovered once digging it up a little bit, it was because some genius had decided to put a pipe into the foundation, but instead of sealing it back up, he just left it wide open. So it was about 1.5 foot hole just in the foundation.
And
where
we don't know
water
if it was
just-
when the home was originally built years ago. We don't know if it was, we don't know if he did it. It was a nice little surprise.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But then
What else did we find?
the structural thing.
Oh,
I don't know how to
yeah.
word it. I'm like, I
So-
don't know what it was. It was
And
scary.
my guess, all of this was when the house was actually built. We discovered that one of the foundation walls was actually floating and actually not on a foundation at all. It was just kind of bridged for about 8 feet.
Like supporting half of our house. It just wasn't. It wasn't there.
It was not structurally sound at all.
So we had to have that done and
So, yeah, we
reinforced, and we
dug
had
that
a whole
out and-
thing. I mean, you just never know, and it happened with our own house. So that was a long way of answering your simple question.
Yeah, and I mean,
Just be ready and be willing to roll with it if you do take on your own, and that's just part of it. Being fearless, a little bit of what we talked about, like.
yeah, and honestly, the simplest yet probably craziest too is people's expectations, because again, of social media or TV, of what a renovation is going to cost and how long it's going to take, because everybody seems to think it's going to be super cheap and it's going to happen over a commercial break, and that's just not true.
With a musical montage.
With a musical montage and a big banner revealing your new space. And none of that's true. It's going to be generally more expensive than you think it is and take longer. And that's just part of it, because we've been brainwashed.
But it's always worth it in the end.
100%
It's
worth
going to
it
turn
all
out
the time.
amazing.
Yeah.
You're going to be so happy you did it.
Yeah.
It's always worth
Yeah,
it.
it's always worth it. Everybody's always super stoked at the end and happy about it, and can't realize why it took them so long to do it.
Yeah, game changer.
Okay, so we have another question. They want to know, how did you figure out how to do all of these things? Like, how did you learn how to do all these DIY projects and tile and use power tools and all the things that come with renovations?
That's a great
we all know no one magically just knows everything, but what is your background in learning, or how did you figure it all out?
So, I mean, I know for, first several years of our marriage, I had maybe a hammer and a screwdriver, and that was it. And that was as far as I would go with anything. I didn't want to hang anything on the wall. But then I got interested in it a little bit. I know I was down in Mexico with some guys who were down there building a house, and I just watched and learned from them, and they taught me a ton. And then came back and actually had an idea to build a playhouse for our kids.
That was probably our first,
Yeah, it
after
was
the
a
kitchen.
just a
We were
kind
like,
of,
let's build something.
we drew up on a napkin a playhouse that we wanted to build, and so I decided to tackle it and took what I'd learned in Mexico from some guys and applied it, and just began building from there. And then tell me how you want to answer.
I have a background in design, so I have like that base, you know what I'm saying? That base that I've built off of. And then from there, I have these ideas, and then we collaborate.
Yeah.
I'm like, we can do it. We can make it happen. We've gotten in many a heated conversation about these kind of things. We can't quite crack it at first, and it's all about just figuring it out together. And I don't know, like, it's just been over time. I mean, we started out refinishing furniture, like, to supplement our income. We were like, hey, let's like flip furniture. That's kind of fun. And then we started building frames, and it was like baby steps to get there. Probably in between the kitchen and the treehouse. So it was like these little things that we would just get braver and braver each time, and consult people and learn on the fly, Google and
had the benefit of, at least for me, of just being around a lot of people who knew how to do things and were willing to teach.
Okay, we have another question from Natasha. She says, how do you decide what trends to follow? I'm afraid my home will look dated if I follow the wrong trend. It's a great question.
That's a great question.
I think
I'm trying to think of how the best way to answer it. I'll let you talk first.
Well, one thing, I think a lot of people get trapped because they're worried about what other people are going to think. We encounter that all the time. People are looking to sell houses. They're worried about, well, what is the next buyer going to want? And we always
that's so frustrating, because you're doing this renovation because you want to, not for the next person who buys the house.
So one of our advice is to do it how you want it, live in it. It's your space. Don't worry about it, because you can, have a magazine ready house, but 9 out of 10 people may just not want to buy it, kind of deal.
And that happened to us.
That did happen to us, yes.
We've literally been in a few magazines, and then it took us a year. It's all based on like where you live and the market and all that. But I would also say, like, if the bones are good, then it's okay to like experiment a little and have fun. Paint your ceilings blue and see what happens. And I think too, like, keeping things, in the realm of like what you love is really going to help you fall in love with your house, no matter what the trend is.
Yeah, and then you can take your risk with things that are easy to change, like paint colors. Things that are a little bit harder to change, you may not want to be as risky on trends with as well, but things that you can easily change, that don't cost a lot of money. And you can also bring a lot of trends in with your furniture.
Well, I tend to be like more hardcore on the trend sector with, like, pillows and rugs, because those are easy to be bold with, and then in a few years when you're tired of them, you haven't spent a fortune on them, you can switch them out. Whereas, like I said, if the bones are good, what's that song? The rest don't matter. Anyway, it's just a good place to start and go from there. I hope that helps.
I think we'd like to hear the rest of how that song goes first.
I'm just kidding.
We have another question from Talia. She asks, any tips for customizing my builder grade home? So builder grade versus trends instead.
Right. I think a lot of it is the same as, and a lot of it also depends on what you want to tackle and what your budget is, because those are going to define what you can do in a lot of stuff. And so if your budget is smaller, then make some impact with, the furnitures and paints and things of that nature. If you're like, hey, let's take it on, let's spend some money, then, the kitchen is a place you spend a lot of time, and it's a place of gathering. So that might be a place you want to start.
I think too, if you're interested in just experimenting at first and you want to do like smaller changes along the way, you can do things like paint your cabinets. If you're tired of them, just do it. And then if you hate it, you can rip it out in a few years and do the whole thing like you love it. You know what I'm saying? And I think it goes back to those baby steps and doing small things along the way. With the rooms that you might not be absolutely in love with, make it your own, and then it slowly becomes something that you love.
Yeah, but we're big proponents of spending money on your home and in your home, because it is where you're going to spend the most amount of time outside of like work in your life. You may go on a vacation and that's great for a week, but you're going to be at your house and entertaining and living with your family and all that. So make it what you want. Don't be afraid to spend that money there. Make an experience where you can, just love it because it's you. It reflects who you are as a person.
I had a client ask me the other day. She was like, she's a third time around client. She's on a third return, and we were standing in her bathroom and master suite, their primary suite that they're about to redo, and she said, "Am I being like bougie? Is this too fancy? Like, I don't know how I feel about this." And I was like, "You need to do this space because you love it. And this is your forever home. You guys aren't planning on moving. Even if you don't know, if you don't know what life is going to throw at you, and you might as well love your house while you have it."
Okay, that was really great. We have 2 more questions. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track of all the questions. Jasmine asks, what was the biggest transformation in your home?
I feel like I might have different answers.
Good.
I'm gonna say in our home now, our great room would be the biggest transformation. Like, if you want to see before and afters on our website, you might have already seen them. I don't know if people have seen or haven't seen, but that was the biggest change, because it was like you couldn't even fit our sofa in the living room.
Yeah. Like
before we ripped everything out, and it was just a game changer for us. And not all houses are meant to have the walls knocked down. Like, a lot of people are like, "What is the light to have your walls knocked down?" I'm like, "Well, it's great because we have other places to go to." Like, maybe it's not a one size fits all, but it worked for our house to do that. So that was the biggest transformation.
And I'd say this next one to that would have been when we redid the basement and garage area, because it gave us a ton of living space and a place for the kids to just hang out and to be, especially when we're entertaining. Adults can be upstairs, hanging out in the kitchen, doing our thing, and the kids can all go hang out downstairs and, do whatever
that
it is they
Jeffrey
do.
Court child brought it to
Right.
life.
Okay, so our last question, because we're coming up to time, actually comes from Karianne. Says, "Hi friends, what's your favorite collaboration with Jeffrey Court, and why was it with me?"
So who is this person?
I have no idea. A super fan.
Why was it with me? You know what, Karianne? I don't know if you're gonna have any different answers, but yeah, one of my favorite projects was the videos that we did for the Renovation Challenge. Was it last year?
Maybe about 3 seasons ago.
And we were a little scatterbrained that day. And looking back, it's one of my most painful / favorite memories, because we had filmed the whole thing, and then I realized that I didn't turn on the camera. And I was like, "Sorry guys," and they thought I was kidding. So it was a really fun experience because we were a little bit delirious that day. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would probably have to agree that was a fun time, just to be able to see everybody's projects and the progress they're making in their own homes, and be able to kind of share that with the rest of the interweb. But then to have the added benefit of Karianne hanging out with us at our home, and spending time together and just being goofy, which if you'll tune in next week, we're actually going to interview Karianne, and I promise that'll be a blast for everyone involved. But it was just a ball of fun. A big ball of fun.
I love that it was a big ball of fun. But also, just to note that you're actually interviewing Karianne for her home story July 21st, not next week.
Oh, well, I don't get names right.
Nodding. I was like, okay, I don't think that's right.
It'll come by so fast. It'll be here before you know it.
We're going to do a pre-run next week of it. Okay.
Fair enough. I think Cori and I want to join just for fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Cori, for hosting. This has been a wonderful episode of our Meet the Designer Summer Series, and we can't wait to see you next month with Karianne of Thistlewood Farms.